Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, My Hero Academia, Biomechanical Meltdown, by AtomX994. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin Chapter 1, Activation Perfection. The state or quality of being perfect. Many often try to reach this state of being, believing that it is possible. But none are able to do so, due to the lifelong battle between the soul and the flesh. So what would happen if one were to forsake their humanity to try and reach such a state of being? What if a man became a monster, all to try and shed his human weakness, and achieve perfection? The year was currently 2165, and a new generation has come. Having been raised in an era protected by the many pillars of heroism, the new generation of UA marched to their school, hoping to make the same impact that their parents had made in the past. In particular, one red-headed girl, with curly hair and bright green eyes was standing tall while admiring the front of the entrance, despite not being her first time at the school. "You know, you'll get in trouble with Mr. Aizawa if you keep on standing still like a fool and missing class." A male voice called out next to her. "Rio, do you always have to be such a spoil sport?" she asked the black-haired teen. "Well, if I have to be honest, I kind of have to. You've always been like this ever since childhood. Then again, I guess that's what happens when your parents are two top 10 heroes, their child becomes lazy. HHY. Oh, give her a break, Rio." Another male voice called out. The source of the voice came from what looked to be a pink-skinned boy with similar colored hair and bright red eyes. Alongside him was a rather small blonde girl, wrapping her arms around his. "Oh. Is Rio fighting with Mirai again? You really are a joy killer," the girl said to him. "As if I need to hear this from the walking natural disaster," the boy responded. "You nearly destroyed the entirety of ground gamma when you used that support item Ida made for us. Walking natural disaster. Why I oughta dash. Okay, let's calm it down, the both of you. Rio, there's no need to be hostile this early in the morning. And you don't need to address Lance by his last name, we're friends after all." Despite Rio wanting to argue with his tall classmate, he chose to instead focus on getting to class, apologizing to Mirai on the way. I apologize, Mirai. My behavior was most unacceptable." "Oh, it's fine, really. I should be thanking you for looking out for me. I know I can get a bit sidetracked, so I thank you for trying to be a diligent class rep, alright. Then let us get to class." "Okay," the redhead said to him. The four students made their way to the classroom of Class 3A, where amongst the ruckus and noise, a now 56-year-old Shota Aizawa enters. Alright, settle do dash, but he noticed that the classroom was quiet. Just the way he liked it. Well, good. Now then, let's begin our class. First things first, today is going to be a bit unorthodox. The students postured themselves up in panic when they heard the term unorthodox. I'd relax if I were you. Myself and Present Mike are not going to be available to perform our duties as teachers today due to prior commitments. So for now, your lesson plan will be as follows. You'll have mathematics with ectoplasm, modern literature with Cementos, and finally, Vlad will take present Mick's job of being your English teacher before you move on to your heroics classes with Snipe. While the class breathed a sigh of relief, Rio raised his hand in curiosity. "You have a question, Mr. Yaoyorozu?" "Indeed I do, sir. May I ask what it is that you and Present Mike are preoccupied with?" "Well, normally as your teacher, I would say it was none of your business. But considering the nature of this prior engagement, I feel as if it would be beneficial to you. The reason Present Mike and I aren't going to be teaching today is because we're going to Tartarus." This caused the class to murmur amongst themselves, each of them theorizing as to why they would be heading to Tartarus. However, the theories would soon cease when Aizawa, not wanting the conversation to drag on, flat out told them. "The reason we are heading over to the prison is because a certain villain from an old era is being executed, and once he does the era of All for One will be over." "Wait a second, are you talking about that Dr. Garaki fellow?" How on earth is he even alive? Isn't he like 150-something years old? Truthfully, we don't know how old he is. But given that he is on his last day of life, it doesn't really matter anymore. What matters is that his MSTR's ideology dies along with him. So if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go organize some things. Chat amongst yourselves until your next class. Aizawa began to leave the classroom, leaving the class of 3A to talk amongst themselves, namely, about this, Dr. Garaki. So you guys actually know anything about this guy? The pink-skinned boy asked. Well, Reiji, if you actually read our history textbooks, then you would know a single thing about him. Ryo said to him. Dr. Garaki was all-for-one's old scientist during his reign of terror. However, after his master's defeat, Dr. Garaki was kept at Tartarus in a secured cell. No electronics, no nothing. And how exactly do you know he doesn't have electronics or anything in his room? A boy named Suji asked him. Yeah, for all we know, you could be spouting on nonsense. Another boy named Naoki added. Well, it just so happens that my mother, the hero Creati, just so happened to have a hand in the creation process of his cell room. That guy isn't getting anything besides food and his regular medicine. Oh wow. Wait, I wonder if any of our parents fought him. A boy named Jean exclaimed. It would be unlikely, Suji. However, they would have fought those Nomu things that he created. A girl named Akumu interjected. Yeah, Jean. Besides, I don't see Dad winning a fight against an old man like Dr. Garaki. A girl named Kyo said to her brother. Hey. Why do you gotta disrespect Dad like that? 'Cause it's funny. Plus Mom does it all the time. The class continued to talk amongst themselves about the topic, while Mirai was left looking out of the window beside her, speaking to herself. I wonder if I can concentrate my flames into a powerful beam like the Kamehameha. I'll have to ask Lance about that later. A few hours would pass, and we see Aizawa and Present Mike in the back of a car, looking out the window as the rebuilt Tartarus came into view. Are you sure you want to see him, Shota? This is the man that experimented on Oboro after all. I do, Hizashi. This man caused us trouble in the past, and hurt many people. I need to see this through. I see. Do you know how this is gonna be set up? Based on the call Seiji Shishikura gave me, they've already set up the room for Garaki to be hooked up to. As for the heroes observing, they'll be placed in a different room. We won't be able to communicate with him face to face. But we'll have an intercom to be able to speak with him. Good. I didn't want to speak to him face to face anyway. While their car was driving over the singular bridge that connected the prison to the mainland, we see Shoto Todoroki, on his phone conversing with his daughter, while his wife, Izumi Yagi, was conversing with her other fellow heroes. Eventually, she approached him. Hey honey. What you doing? Oh, well, Mirai was just messaging me about how she might hang out with her friends after school. She does know it's my birthday today, right? Yeah, she sighed slightly. Well, I just hope she gets home safely. Besides, I can wait a few hours for her to come home. You sure? I can always tell her that she can't hang out with them. Nah, let her hang out with her friends. I doubt she'll do anything bad. Okay. If you trust her, then I will as well. The two of them began to move to the rest of the group of heroes present, waiting for Aizawa and Present Mike to arrive before entering the facility. The group consisted of those who were considered the top 10 most popular heroes, consisting of Mirko, Lemillion, Phantom Thief, Tentacle, Kamui Woods, Mount Lady, Nijire and Best Jeanist. Ah, Shoto. Green Empress, you're here. Lemillion said out loud. Good to see you again, Lemillion. Shoto said calmly. Though I do wish it was under better circumstances. Yeah, I do admit. When I first heard that I was asked to come to this thing, I was tempted to just say no. But considering the negative impact this guy has caused on our country, I figured I would see it through. I see. What about the others? Were they the same? Well, I'd say everyone besides Mirko actually didn't want to come, but came here because they believed it was their duty to see the end of all for one's terror. Wait, Mirko wanted to come. Izumi chimed in. Well, considering the fact that some of her limbs were taken because of his Nomus, I wouldn't be surprised. The loud revs of a car began to approach closer, a black limousine stopping next to the group before the doors began to open, showing Aizawa and Present Mike stepping out. Ah, Mr. Aizawa, Present Mike, you've made it. Lemillion says aloud. Traffic was a bit slow, so I apologize for us being late. Oh, it's alright. I'm sure they would have waited for you no matter how long it was gonna be. Coming out of the entrance of Tartarus was Seiji Shishikura, who after a few years of working in the prison, quickly rose through the ranks and became the prison's warden. His expression was filled with nothing but an authoritative glare. It was clear that the many years of being the prison's warden had taken a toll on the man. But regardless, he chose to continue. I see that all party members are accounted for. Now then, if you lot are ready, let us head inside. The group went through the halls of the prison, with various officers inside giving their respect to the heroes being escorted by the warden before they eventually left their range of sight. It would take some time before the large group were finally in the viewing room, ready to witness the execution of All for One's final disciple. Lights. Seiji said aloud. Per his instruction, the lights to the lethal injection room turned on, showing a now frail Dr. Garaki tied down to a gurney, while intravenous lines can be seen sticking out of the man's arms. Seiji approached the intercom. Dr. Kyudai Garaki. You have been given the death penalty due to the many crimes you have committed over your 120+ years of life. As such, I will give you this one and only opportunity to say your final words before you are no longer part of the world of the living. Speak your piece, or forever hold your tongue. The heroes in the room waited patiently for the doctor to say anything. But Dr. Garaki, despite his current physical state, only laughed at such a notion. He began to speak. Oh, you poor fools. You have no idea what is going to happen. You may have beaten me and my MSTR, but even death itself shall not stop his plans. Soon all of you will be met by the very face of hell itself. You dare say such a thing on your deathbed? Mirko yelled out. Oh, it's not just a dare. It's a fact. A monster shall be unleashed on the world, one that will show you the very wrath of my master's power. Forged from the flesh of the strongest man, and shaped to an ever-evolving body, he will set about the end of this era of heroes. He will reign supreme. Okay, I've heard enough of this. Seiji said out loud. Administer the lethal injection now. Doing as the warden instructed them, the two officers in the room began the process of administering the lethal injection into Garaki's system. But despite this, the doctor continued to laugh and cackle, making some of the heroes, in particular Izumi, unsettled by this behavior. Eventually, the sound of a flat line echoed throughout the room, his body now lifeless and stiff. One of the attending nurses, who was standing beside Dr. Garaki, placed a cloth over his face, before he noted down the time. Time of death, July 15th, 1:15 p.m. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to SCRT him to the crematory. After taking the now deceased doctor's gurney out of the room, the heroes that were present did not speak after the ordeal. Left puzzled by the threat that Dr. Garaki had left behind, they all left to their own busy lives, trying to push it out of their minds. Izumi and Shoto in particular chose to remain silent on the way home. After arriving at their home, they made their way out of the rain, changing into some different clothes before making something warm to eat. Izumi, are you feeling okay? Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Why do you ask? Well, you were pretty silent on the way home, so I thought something was bothering you. Izumi shifted her position. If I have to be honest, something that Dr. Garaki said before he died was quite startling. That whole, forged from the flesh of the strongest man, and shaped to a ever-evolving body, part, it makes me think that he has something we don't know about. Izumi, All of his hideouts were cleared out after we dealt with the League. Any Nomus or any other projects he may have had were destroyed the moment they were found. You have nothing to worry about. Besides, it's your birthday, you don't need to worry about such a thing right now. I know, I guess I'm just being paranoid. By the way, what flavor cake did you end up getting me? Belgian chocolate. Oh wow, going all fancy are we? You know it. Well, since Mirai will take a bit to get back, why don't we enjoy the quietness for a bit? Maybe watch a movie. Sure. What movie? Don't know. I've been meaning to catch up with Jack Midoriya's latest movie, Unbound Starfall. Why don't we watch that? Oh. That movie with the cyborg girl on that alien planet. Robot planet, but yeah. I heard the movie was adapting the Starfall frequency arc from the manga series, Unbound, and that they were gonna have professional animators make it a spectacular movie. I see. Then maybe we should go out to the movies and watch it. Though I will admit, I might get lost since I haven't watched the show, so give me a list of the details if you could. Okay then. Let's go. Mirai and the others were on their way back to Reiji's place, wanting to play a few games before they went back home for the day. While the rain pouring on top of them provided a nice dose of cool air, it certainly caused a slight change in their initial plans. They crossed through an area where there was a cemetery on the left and a small market area to the right. Because of this, Hanabi, who was currently salivating from the mouth, began to try and get to the marketplace. Hanabi, come on. We can't stop and get food, there's food back at my house. Reiji. You don't understand. That's not just any food they are selling some of the best quality spicy mochi money can buy. That's what you're trying to get. Some mochi. Come on. The spiciness of hot food mixed with the sweet softness of a mochi, that is the pinnacle of food. You really do have a problem. While the two lovebirds bicker over this longing to get food, Rio watched on with annoyance. Guess we're just gonna soak in the rain because of those two, right Mirai? Mirai. The boy turned his head back to see the red-headed girl walking over to the cemetery, weirding him out at first, but then figured that she was visiting some of her now-dead family members. Mirai, wait up. The boy caught up to Mirai, breathing heavily slightly, while feeling the hot, yet calm flames of Mirai's hair. Her quirk, pyrosynthesis, allowed her to manipulate and even generate her own flames from any part of her body. In this instance, she used her hair as a conductor for her flames, not only to provide her warmth from the cool air, but to dry the rainwater drenching her clothes. She was seen standing over what appeared to be a tombstone, tending to it by cleaning any of the dirt that had been building on it over the years. Rio observed as she finished up the cleaning process, and put away the tools used. Mirai, is this grave your family's grave? Yes. Or rather, it's the family grave from my mother's side. I see. You'd think that the rainwater would clean the dirt off. Yeah, but I don't mind. It gives me a chance to think about them. To try and picture what they look like despite them being dead for a long time. Your grandparents? Yeah. They died shortly after I became a teenager. But I managed to have a few good years with them before they passed. It must be hard, having lost your grandparents at such a young age. Well, it's bound to happen. I'm just glad I got to form a relationship with them before they passed. While Rio stood close to her, using her fire to dry himself, he noticed another name, one carved on the side of it. He read it slowly, due to the location it was carved on, an obscure spot on the right side of it. Yagi Izuku. Huh, I didn't know you had a relative with a similar name to your mother's. Who is Izuku Yagi? Your granduncle or something? Close. He's actually my mother's brother. But I never got to meet him. Why's that? Apparently he disappeared shortly before my mother went to UA High. Naturally, the police assumed him dead due to lack of anything indicating his whereabouts. I see. Has your mother said anything about him? My mother gets a bit sensitive when I ask about him, But all I know about him was that he and mother were twins, and that he was quirkless. Quirkless. Wow. It's been a great while since I've seen or heard of someone being quirkless. Given how small the population has become, finding a quirkless person is like finding a piece of gold in the ocean. Do you believe what the police told your mother? Well, I can't argue with the facts. If they believe he's dead, then I have no reason to say otherwise. But a small part of me wants to cling on to hope that he is still out there. Even though I know nothing about him, I do hope that one day, I will get to know about him more. While many of Japan's heroes and civilians were blissfully unaware, there was something brewing over at the small subtropical island called Nabu Island. The flickering lights shined brightly alongside that of the fireflies, all while the sounds of loud footsteps made themselves known, along with the sound of slurping. Whatever this thing was, it was tall in size, its hair fluffy as the clouds, and had a humanoid look to him. But this was not like any normal human. This was the threat that Garaki had forewarned about. A Nomu forged from the flesh of the strongest man. On the back of his neck, was a mark, or more specifically, a number, pilot chapter end. Chapter 2, Malicious Meeting. The night was quiet and calm on Nabu Island. Stars flickering in the sky while many of the residents allowed the tiredness of their bodies to consume them, forcing them into a deep slumber that would recharge their batteries until morning. But for two individuals, it was simply the start of their early night patrol. Making sure that the people of the island are safe from any delinquents who are trying to spray paint their homes. Their names were Mahoro and Katsuma Shimano, and they were two of the few pro-heroes that were stationed on the island. Man, this is a total bore. What did you expect, Mahoro? Nabu Island isn't exactly villain central. But still, I was kind of hoping for some type of drag smuggling ring or something exciting. Something to really get the BLD pumping. Well, that is why we're investigating at night time. That is typically when most crime occurs. Still, I wish I was back at the mainland. The many times I've seen criminals pee their pants over how scary my holograms never gets old. Must you always look back at those moments? What? It's the best part of hero work. Katsuma let out a sigh, as he looked down at the ground, kicking rocks with his shoes, before hearing the sound of his phone buzzing. Hello. This is Triage speaking. Hello Triage, this is the police. We came to alert you about a disturbance near the town area. Disturbance? Yeah. We've had several officers go MIA on communications, and we need someone down there to investigate. Last message we received from Officer Shimazaki was of several articles of clothing left on the ground with puncture wounds. Puncture wounds? That seems bizarre. We're on our way to the scene. He said, ending communications. Mahoro, we have to go, something's come up. Bad guys. Maybe. We won't know for sure until we get there. Well then, what are we waiting for? Let's get whoever is causing the island trouble. The two heroes began to make their way to the location, ready to take down whatever threat was causing trouble to the civilians of Nabu Island. But something that they weren't prepared for, was the thing causing this trouble. Though it was covered by the darkness, the small amounts of light provided some sort of visual appearance. 7 foot in height, green in color and a tail-like appendage on his back. But our focus was not on that event. Instead, the event is skipped to many hours later, from the perspective of a small blonde boy. Roughly 4'7" in height, the blonde boy was staring around the area with curiosity. Whoa, so this is what a real city looks like up close. Father's pictures really are inferior to being here in person. Despite having slight facial features of that of a foreigner, the boy both spoke and read perfect Japanese, being able to effortlessly read any signs that the average foreigner would have trouble reading. However, some would avoid the boy due to a particular mark on his neck. A tattoo with the Roman numeral of 9. Why he had this was still a mystery, but the boy did not understand this, believing they must find the idea of a small boy alone strange to them. Okay, what did father say? I need to make the computer chip. He kept spouting different words at a fast rate that it's impossible to remember. I wish he didn't disappear on me. But I guess he was in a hurry to finish up his project. Never mind that, I gotta focus on my job. He ran through the streets of the city, accidentally bumping into a few people while ignoring their shouts of annoyance. But as he did so, he bumped into one particular person. Mirai. Oh, hey. You okay, dude? She asked him. Hey. What are you doing standing in the way? The boy shouted. Do you have any idea how much time you've wasted for me just because you bumped into me? Huh. The girl was slightly confused by this, before Rio, who was with Mirai, started to utilize his skills as a class rep to try and DSPLN the boy. You try to accuse my classmate of bumping into you. You're the one who ran into her. Have you no shame for your lies? Oh, just stop talking, you butt-face. Be butt-face. What kind of parents allow their kids to speak this kind of language to their elders? Clearly parents who are fun. Mirai, who was still trying to rack her brain about the interaction, tried her best to de-escalate the situation. Okay, let's just calm down. Rio, don't worry about it. He is just a kid after all. Mirai. You can't just excuse his behavior just because he is a kid. Even still, Rio, we're heroes in training. As such, we should show kindness to those who are misguided. Especially the young. I see. Forgive me for my rudeness, Mirai. But you are right in a couple of things, Rio. Young man, while you are still a child, that doesn't excuse you from any sort of punishment. As a child, you should respect your elders, otherwise, you could get punished severely, or worse, arrested for disrupting the peace. So I believe you should demonstrate your remorse to my classmate, and apologize. Due to her rather passive-aggressive tone, something that was nurtured thanks to her grandfather, Endeavor, the boy was terrified by the girl, seeing her hair begin to flare up and glow brightly. He bowed his head in fear. Sorry for causing you trouble, sir. It's fine, young man. Just try and never do that again, okay? So where are your parents? Mirai asked him. Surely they must be looking for you. Well, currently my father is busy with something. Busy? Yeah, he's currently trying to complete his big project. Asked me to gather materials for a computer chip or something. Hold on, he's getting you to collect things for him. But you're still a child. Rio exclaims. Well, if by child you mean 15 years old, then yeah. Hold on, you're 15. You look like you're somewhere between 11 and 12. I mean, it's not too out of the ordinary. Mirai says to Rio. Based on my mother's stories, the hero Grape Juice was 3'6" back when he was 15. It's just genetics, I suppose. But that does raise the question, what is your father making if he needs you to collect materials for computer chips? He's trying to create some sort of machine. One that could help me in regards with my quirk. Oh, so a support item. Something like that. My quirk allows me to control machines or any piece of technology, but it has specific limits that make it so that I couldn't control a large army of machines or powerful weaponry, at least without going out of control. The support item my father is currently creating will help me fine-tune my quirk to assist me in situations where I need to use it. I see. But that raises one question, in what situation would you even need to use it? Rio asks him. Basically like anybody else. For protection. But you're a child. What do you need to protect yourself from? Dude, it's just for precaution. The two teens look at the boy, before Mirai, having a longing to help, began to speak up. Well, maybe we could help you. I'm sorry, what? Rio said in confusion. Well, if it's something to help him better control his quirk, it wouldn't be a bad idea to help him find the pieces. Our parents did tell us that one of the biggest concerns was that whole quirk doomsday theory. If this device could help his body regulate his powers, maybe it could be a breakthrough to something greater. Well, you are right about that, Mirai. But still, should we really be spending our time on this side quest? Don't forget, we have that assignment to work on for Cementos class. Oh, relax. So it will take a couple of hours, nothing too major. We can make up the time by working twice as hard. Now then, how can we help? Oh, it's Isaiah. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Mirai Todoroki, and the pleasure is all ours. After getting acquainted with the young man, the three began their perilous side quest to collect the parts Isaiah needed for this computer chip he was making for the support item. While he had not named it yet, some of the details he gave pertaining it did seem to hint at it being rather experimental. Instead of the support item being an object one wears, Isaiah revealed to them in passing conversation that the chip was to be injected into the base of his brain stem, allowing him to have constant control over his power without any sort of backlash. While it did sound a bit science fiction-y, Mirai and Ryo helped the boy regardless, eventually gathering all of the necessary materials. Man, that took ages. Thanks for helping me out, you two. Couldn't have done it without you. Isaiah said to them. Oh, it's no biggie, we're just glad to have helped, right, Ryo? Why, yeah, it's our duty as heroes after all to assist those in need. Isaiah laughed slightly at Ryo, still finding that the young man had a stick up his butt in regards to his attitude, but accepted it nonetheless. You're funny. You know, you should come meet my dad sometime. I have no doubt that once he meets you too, he'll want you to come over and hang out every day. Actually, now that you mention it, you've only ever talked about your father during this entire time. I mean, I get he's some kind of scientist, but how come you never speak about your mother? Ryo asks him. Oh well, technically I don't have a mother. This detail caught Mirai slightly off guard, proceeding to inquire about it. What do you mean by that? She asks him. Well, for all of my life, my dad's been the one to raise me. He considers me the greatest thing to ever come into his life. But he never really spoke about my mother. At first I thought maybe they just split up, or that my mother died during child birth. But I tend not to focus on finding out that answer. Besides, as long as I help my dad out, that's all that matters to me. I see. Quite the honorable goal you have. Ryo says to him. Well, someone's got to help him attain his goal. If he does, it'll change the world forever. Wow, you have that much faith in him, huh? Yeah, but he has a long way to go before he can reach that goal. Many hurdles to overcome, some that stem from his childhood. Regardless, I know my dad is strong. So I want to play my part. I see. Anyway, I better get going. Hope to see you guys soon. Isaiah yelled out before running off. After the boy left their cone of sight, the two teens were left to their own devices, returning to their previous routine, and continuing the assignment Cementos had given them. While this was happening, it is here that our focus moves to what appears to be a small boat, where three passengers sit patiently as the boat driver brought them closer to their destination. The three passengers in question wore specialized costumes, indicating that like Katsuma and Mahoro, they too were pro-heroes. These people were Kota Izumi, the hydraulic hero, Mizuchi Eri Aizawa, the helper hero, and Tamashiro, the orb hero. Man, this SCKS. Couldn't they just send the big guns to quickly take care of this? Tamashiro commented. Do you always have to complain? Kota asks him. Pardon me, Mr. Cool, calm and collected. But I was peacefully on a date with my girlfriend when all of a sudden, I get called to get suited up, and get on a boat to some remote island with a population less than 1,000. I'm not fortunate enough to marry my high school crush like you, dude. What do you think they needed us for? Eri questioned. If it's something serious, I do wonder if Mahoro and Katsuma are okay. I'm sure it's alright, Eri. If they are in danger, we'll make sure they're safe. Kota said to her. They were silent momentarily, getting themselves prepared for the mission before the tablet Eri was carrying began to buzz, indicating that someone was calling them. Upon answering the call, the three are met by the appearance of the now 64-year-old Yakumura Mera, whose old age was made the obvious due to his many sleepless nights. Mizuchi, Eri, Tamashiro, thank you for taking this assignment despite the short notice. Yakumaru said to them. Yeah, we're awesome, so tell us. What big mission do you have for us that the big guys couldn't take care of for us? Tamashiro. Eri said sternly. What? I'm just saying. As independent as always. The mission briefing goes as follows. Several hours ago, we received a distress signal from Triage, who was with his hero's sister Mirage in regards to an attack that was occurring on the island. Most noticeably, he made mention of something that was causing several of the island's inhabitants to disappear without a trace. No struggle, no nothing. While he was not able to identify the person or thing responsible, he did identify the person as having some type of bug-like complexion. Bug-like. What, like a locust? A grasshopper. Sadly, he was not able to identify the specific bug-like appearance. Your assignment is simple. Gather as much data as you can on who is responsible for the silent attack, locate and extract Triage and Mirage back to the mainland, and get out of there. If you encounter any trouble, your best course of action is to stand your ground, but do not engage. Do not engage. Who do you think we are? We could be dealing with some Shigaraki-level supervillain, and you want us to not engage. Tamashiro argued. It is for the purpose of assessing the situation. If the threat level rises, then you may engage, but only if necessary. No, your suits have a camera feed, so any data that you have will be transmitted to us instantaneously. I leave the rest to you. After the communications cut, the three wait patiently to arrive at the island, feeling the ocean water splash slightly on their faces, before finally reaching the sand banks. Okay, this is Mizuchi. Reporting in, do you hear me? Kota said into his communicator. Loud and clear. Yakumaru said to him. We've just reached the sand banks. Beginning our search now. Noted. Just be careful. The three began to make their way out of the beach area and onto one of the nearby roads, spotting what looked to be a couple of abandoned cars scattered all over. The windows were shattered completely, almost as if something attacked them from the outside. But aside from the damage, the cars were still functional. Okay, I think the best course of action is to split up and cover more ground that way. Tamashiro said out loud. Are you a fool? Whatever attacked this island clearly is problematic. We need to stick together. While it may take a while to cover the island, it's our only option. Do you seriously doubt our fighting capabilities that much? No, I'm just thinking logically here. I agree with Kota. We can't just leave ourselves vulnerable. But Tamashiro did not like this idea. He began to make his way to one of the nearby cars, starting it up before attempting to drive off on his own. Where are you going? To go find this thing. You and Snow White over there can look elsewhere together. Using the car to drive off, Kota merely looked on with annoyance, while Eri began to also get in a vehicle. Come on, Kota. We might as well survey the other side of the island. But Kota does not respond to this, merely getting in the car, as they drove the other way. So, Kota. What or who do you think released this creature out in the first place? I mean, I can't exactly imagine anyone willing to release this thing without getting themselves hurt. Who knows? All I know is that it can't be a natural phenomena. You think it's like one of those events that are in your comic books. What did they call them? Gates. Scenarios. While I get what comics you're trying to reference, I don't think that's the case here. Then do you think it might be one of those monsters Big Sis Izumi fought back in the day? A Nomu was it? Maybe, but it's highly unlikely. After all, Dr. Garaki was captured and hasn't been released ever since. I even heard that he died recently. I see. Well, let's hope we can solve this mystery soon. The three heroes investigated the island for some time, seeing various different sites of attack. Clothes scattered all over the place, broken walls and small craters on the ground outside. Whatever attacked this place seemingly has quite a lot of strength. Based on the amount of damage, I'd say that the threat level has elevated from D to C. Maybe even lower B rank. It doesn't make any sense. There's clearly battle damage, but there are no bodies. No BLD whatsoever. How is this possible? Not sure. But from what I can gather, this thing isn't trying to cause chaos randomly. It's targeted the isolated areas first before moving on to the more populated regions. It's more tactful than I thought. While Koda was examining the scene more thoroughly, Eri saw what looked to be a lingering cloud of smoking coming from the distance. Hey, Koda. Look over there. Looks like something is on fire there. Do you think that's worth checking out? Sounds like a plan. Maybe there's someone there trying to survive in the wilderness. After finishing up their search in the area, they got back into the car, and made their way over to the source of the smoke cloud. But as they got closer to it, something caught their attention. The smoke was coming from the smaller island attached to the mainland. Mount Shiroyama. They approached the island cautiously, seeing the ever-expanding trail of smoke coming from the ground. When they reached the base of it, they found something, a bright light of sorts, light purple in color. Koda was the first to enter, finding himself inside what looked to be a small lab, computers still active, and some fluid seeping into the ground. Among the many devices, there were 2 VAT tanks in the back. One that was cracked and destroyed beyond repair, while the other was still intact. Koda paused for a moment. What on earth is this place? I think it's a lab of sorts. Eri commented. A lab here of all places. But what was it here for? The two began to investigate the lab, with Eri inspecting the 2 VAT tanks, while Koda looked through the computers somehow still active. While some of the data was corrupted, there were some audio and MP4 files that remained. I think I have something. But their communicators began to suddenly go off, as the transmission was seemingly coming from Tamashiro's earpiece. The problem was that, instead of hearing his voice, all they heard was static and a faint voice. Hell, Sam, Respo Tamashiro. Come in, Tamashiro. But there was still static. Eri began to make her way out of the lab, with Koda soon after calling out loud. Eri. Where are you going? Get back here. She ran through the land as fast as she could, hoping to get a stronger connection on her communicator. But as she did so, she stopped for a moment. She began to hear the quiet sounds of humming in the distance. Yet it did not come from any sort of voice that resembled that of a human. More like a voice that she could barely register. Loud footsteps approached her, as the voice quickly switched from humming, to that of a vocal rendition of Kenji Miyazawa's poem, Amen Imo Makizu. Translated to its English name as Be Not Defeated by the Rain. Unbeaten by the rain, unbeaten by the wind, bested by neither snow nor summer heat, strong of body, free of longing, never angry, always smiling quietly. Eri stared at the creature as it came into view. Its eyes almost reptilian, and its body, completely going against the very laws of nature. The foe in front of her gave a curious look, before smiling with its unnaturally disgusting mouth, tightening his grip on Tamashiro by his clothes, who was being dragged across the ground. Hello, friend. The creature said, before letting out a rather creepy sound. Chapter end. Chapter 3, Man vs. Mutation. Eri stared at the creature with both focus and horror. Its slitted eyes giving all its attention to her, all while he didn't move a muscle. The creature began to speak. So what brings you to my neighborhood? But Eri did not answer that question, believing that whatever she was looking at was the source behind the incident. The creature noticed this hesitation and began to play with his food. Not much of a talker, huh? Perfectly understandable. Creatures that are faced with a presence far greater than theirs tend to freak out a little. Why, you, what on earth are you? Oh, so you do have a voice. I was beginning to think that you were just a mute. But how about I answer your question with another question? The creature began to move, lifting up Tamashiro in the air, showing off the battle damage he inflicted on the hero. "Is this your friend?" Tamashiro groaned in pain while Eri tried to approach. Didn't. Tamashiro said through his groans. "I don't know how, but this guy, he's too strong for you. I'd listen to your friend if I were you. He knows firsthand what it means to go against someone far beyond what he is capable of. You put him down this instant." "Oh, I don't think you're in a position to threaten me. Especially when I can do this." Moving its tail in a rapid motion, he stabs it into Tamashiro's side, with a slurping sound coming from the tail itself. Tamashiro screams out in pain, lifting his hand as high as possible to Eri. Find Kota. Get out of here. Warn the others. Warn Dash, but his mouth began to lose its ability to function, all while his muscles, skin, even bones began to get absorbed. Eri saw the sight before her, as all that was left behind was his hero costume. Having consumed his newest meal, this creature began to speak once more. "So where were we? Why? Just why?" "Well, to answer your questions, I bring up 3 reasons. First, I was asleep for about 25 years, and I am understandably hungry. Secondly, there's nothing more satisfying than the rush I get from watching a person disappear. And thirdly, and I need you to pay attention to this one. Because it's gonna be quite the light show." Yeah. The creature began to take a stance, violently screaming as suddenly, a large explosion began to envelope the area. Kota noticed this from the distance, and looked horrified at the sight, seeing the cause of the explosion. But for Eri, she was not damaged by this display of power. Only speechless. And thirdly, that is how I power the appealing temple that is my body. "Why, you're a monster." "Oh, I'm a monster. I haven't heard that one screamed at me," he finished sarcastically. "But, I guess all humans are the same in the end. Shut it. Now you answer me this. What have you done with Mahoro?" "To Katsuma." The creature lifted up a brow in curiosity. "Mahoro. Katsuma. Oh, you mean those 2 costumed friends of yours? Well, sadly the girl got away. But as for the man, he has become part of my biomass. And very soon you'll be joining him, and everyone else I have absorbed." At that moment, Eri's fury went on full display, as she grabbed an object from her side, which had turned into what appeared to be a metal baseball bat. While it appeared goofy to the ordinary person, this weapon was but a device capable of turning into various different weapons. It was called the modular rose. Eri began to rush towards the creature, swinging the weapon at it, all while it dodged effortlessly. But while it began to react appropriately to the attack patterns, the weapon changed dramatically, turning into a bow. The fight continued to go on for a short while, with the modular rose turning into all sorts of weapons as time went on. From a club, to a hammer, to even a spear, all these different weapons were some variation of lethal versions that had no killing power. But the most dangerous weapon of the many the modular rose could turn into was the Buster Sword. The only lethal weapon at her disposal. And the only thing she figured could help her without the need to use her quirk. She swung the sword with pure power and focus. Thanks to her training, she was able to utilize the weapon, almost as if it were a light object. Thanks to this, she managed to catch the creature off guard momentarily, before swinging it downward, through its shoulder, and cutting off its right arm. It began to scream in pain. "Ha! My good arm. Ha! Yeah, you feel that. That is the sound of pain, the same kind of pain you inflicted on so many others. Now, do us all a favor, and disappear." But as she lifted up the large sword, the creature's cries of pain quickly turned into that of laughter. "Ah, so that is what pain feels like. I honestly have never felt a sensation like this. Honestly, everyone that tried to harm me didn't provide the same kind of pain you dealt. But regardless, this is an experience I will remember forever. In case you haven't realized, your entire arm was cleaved off. There's no point in fighting. Oh, but that is the difference between you and I. You were only born a human. I, on the other hand. Suddenly, a regenerative quirk began to activate. But unlike most commonly known regenerative quirks, this one was unique. Eri noticed the distinctive green glow surrounding the wound, as it rapidly began to regenerate back into its previous state. This was Katsuma's quirk being used. What? Oh. Are you surprised by this revelation? Well, this is but another benefit I gain when I consume someone. Thanks to my genetic makeup, I can subsequently steal the quirks of those I consume, utilizing them in my arsenal of power. While some have their flaws, others have their uses. Eri got first-hand experience of this phenomena, when suddenly, Tamashiro's binging ball began to manifest behind him, making their way towards Eri, and tearing off both of her arms. She screamed out in pain, as the modular rose dropped to the ground. Oh wow. Now that was seriously hardcore. I mean, it gave me results, but I don't know, you want me to end things now? Maybe I can even things out by taking your legs. Because right now, this is distracting. Eri's eyes were fixed on her hands, but she quickly began to calm down, believing this situation could provide some results. Listen, I've obviously lost this fight. Without my arms, I'm finished. Ah, SBMSN. A second favorite to feudal resistance. But before you finish me off, how about you tell me everything about you? Oh. You want to know about little ol' me? Well, I mean, unless you don't have anything important to say. No, it's just you're the first person to ask me, who, or what. Normally they just ask, why. The creature said with a somber, yet menacing tone. Well, to start us off, then I'm sure by now you know what I am, because my elder brothers and sisters the Nomu. Oh, great. You're another one of Dr. Garaki's creations. I should have known. A good guess. But, there's more to it than that. Dr. Garaki was merely the stepping stone to my evolution. Evolution. If this is the next stage of human evolution, then I'm glad that I'm the way I am. Ah, insults. One of the greatest forms of degrading in existence. Fortunately for me, I am the only one who was gifted with this evolution. But enough of that. When I was once a weak human, I became the good doctor's disciple, learning everything there was to the creation of Nomus. Until eventually I began my own experiments, evolving myself for the sole purpose of becoming perfect. Well, I'd say you need to do your research, because this is far from perfection. Coming from the girl who is a sword-wielding brute. Anyway, unlike most of my older siblings, the Nomus who were made from the corpses of others. But I am purely a biomechanical creation, created from the amalgamation of various DNA, which I had access to. Including that of all for ones. Just gonna throw it out there, apparently his real name was Zen. Zen. Seriously. I figured it was something more terrifying. Same here. Now my evolution didn't go smoothly, I'm afraid. The effects of my creation resulted in several side effects. Side effects? Like what? Well, bits and pieces of the creature's memories began to play in the background, with several details apparently being distorted as a result of the experiment. Including that of his original face, where he lived and who he was. Those do not matter to me anymore. All you need to know is that I am here now. And I will stop at nothing to achieve my perfection. Well then, I guess I know your story. But I don't know your name. Oh, truth is, I don't even remember my old name. But I do recall some names given to me when I was less. But such names are beneath me now. All things considered, I think I'll go with Cell. Eri felt herself now succumbing to the damage she sustained during the battle. Her breath grew heavy as the cold embrace of death began to envelope her. Cell, who saw this before him, began to approach. Now that I have finished telling the story, it's about time that I drink you now. W8. Ha. Before you try and kill me, do you want to see something cool? Eri said with a cocky grin. Cell was amused by this bravado. He never expected someone like this to be as cocky as someone he once knew. He smiled. Now I know you're playing me, but I do. Letting out a loud battle cry, Eri activated her quirk, and her arms began to grow back within seconds. This caused Cell to widen his eyes in amazement. Oh, that is hardcore. And good for me. A quirk like yours is much more useful than this inferior regeneration. So get over her dash. Cell was suddenly blasted by a powerful beam of water, pushing him towards the ocean water beside him. Eri turned around and saw Kota, breathing heavily as he stood still. Kota. Are you okay? She asked in concern. I'm fine. I was more worried about you. So mind telling me what on earth that thing is? He's apparently someone who used to work for Dr. Garaki. He intentionally turned himself into a Nomu to attain some type of perfection. Perfection? In what regard? Not sure. But he's fused with the DNA of several different people, including All for Ones. Oh, just great. We're dealing with potentially the strongest Nomu in existence, and we don't have reinforcements. Don't worry. If we can just hold him off for a couple hours, we should dash. Sorry. Don't want to interrupt your little discussion, but, I'ma get going. Got a lot more things to do, and truthfully, I'm looking for someone important for my plans, so have fun getting burnt to death. Leaping several feet into the air, he extended his right hand out, and suddenly, blue flames began to shoot out, covering the entirety of the landscape around them, before the creature began to head into the water, swimming towards the mainland of Japan. He maniacally laughed as a result. Shoot, Eri, stay back. Kota said, shooting out water around him. As steam was created as a result of water and fire battling each other, a bad feeling loomed over Eri. Whatever this creature was, it was strong. She feared what kind of damage this thing could do, even worrying whether or not Izumi would be able to take it on. Regardless of this, she had a job to do. Kota, you keep putting out this fire. I'm gonna look for Mahoro. Seriously. That thing said that Mahoro got away. If she's still here, she may have information as to how we can combat this thing. After a bit of annoyance, Kota caved in, and turned back to the fire. Okay. Just go. Getting the opportunity to pass through the fire, Eri ran out, trying to find Mahoro amongst the now deserted island. She ran around for quite some time, looking past every tree, every bush, every hole and every river she came across. Eventually, after about 30 minutes of searching, she found pieces of clothing that matched the costume Mahoro had been wearing. She soon found the girl, curled up in a ball, all while she rocked back and forth, trying to calm herself down. It's all my fault, 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 Mahoro. There you are. We've been looking for you. But despite Eri's presence, Mahoro continued to repeat the same phrase over and over again, almost as if her mind was paralyzed. Mahoro. 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 Mahoro seemingly snapped back to reality, before seeing her friend in front of her. Eri. What are you doing here? You need to get out, that monster is going to attack you and kill you and dash. Calm down. We've taken care of that. Cell isn't here anymore. You don't understand. It doesn't matter if he's here or not. That thing. He'll kill us all. Absorb us and repeat. We have to warn Big Sis Izumi. Big Bro Bakugo. Everyone. Okay. Okay, first, we just need to get you off of this island, and somewhere where you can rest. Mahoro began to ease herself, her body relaxing of any worry that had overloaded it, before ultimately, she succumbed to exhaustion. Eri, understandably worried for her friend, began to carry her to where Kota was, unsure as to what her next move should be. Over at the mainland, we see Isaiah in an abandoned building, while working on his desk. He is using some kind of a welding tool to create the computer chip he told Mirai about. The chip pulsed a bright blue glow, creating a small humming sound while Isaiah just stared at it in marvel. However, while this was happening, a silent alarm began to go off from some strange device beside him. Seeing it activate, he began to cheer in excitement. Finally! Finally! Dad is off that small island. I can't believe it took him that long. I guess he just needed to take longer to escape than it took me. But now things are only gonna get better from here. He got out of the warehouse, staring up at the sky, all while a smile was plastered all over his face. Despite his current living situation, the boy was all the more motivated to make his father proud. After basking in the sunlight for a short time, he noticed something begin to appear out of the water. It was Cell. Leaping into the air, and performing a superhero landing, Cell stood up, towering over the child. However, despite his scary appearance, Isaiah couldn't help but display overwhelming happiness. "You're here. You're actually here," Isaiah said, hugging the creature. "Hello, Isaiah. It's been a while. Did you have a good meal on the island?" "Well, there were some interesting food combinations. But I certainly had my fill." "I'll bet you did." Grabbing Cell by the leg, he began to drag him into the warehouse. "Come see. Come see." The two eventually got inside, where Cell saw what appeared to be the creation process behind the computer chip. "Ah, excellent. You seem to be following the schematics nicely." "Yep. All I need now is to test it out, and make some changes, and it will be complete. By the way, I made some really cool friends the other day." "Oh. Were they nice to you?" "At first one of them wasn't. But after a while, they got around to liking me. They even helped me find the parts one was looking for." "Oh, how nice of them. But just out of curiosity, how long will you need to complete the chip?" "Well, I'd say a week, I suppose. But I'm sure that's plenty of time for you." "It certainly is. Now, as I have just swam across a large gap between Nabu Island and here, I believe your old man deserves some rest. We have a big day tomorrow after all." "You excited?" "Am I? Of course I am." "Awesome, kiddo." The father and son began to move away from the desk Isaiah was working on, hoping to rest from the everyday stresses of life itself. As they did so, Isaiah quickly went back and placed the device back on the table, getting a brief glimpse of the project he had been working on, before returning to his father. The old file on the table was largely damaged, likely as a result of the large passage of time between 25 years ago and now. But although the project name was scratched out, a few letters were able to be read without issue. These letters were PJE, BGT, ST. Chapter End. Chapter 4, Hallway of Prey. It was nearing around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we see a group of heroes walking down the road as they stretch their arms and legs from a long day of patrolling. "Man, I am beat," Yoshindo said with a sigh. "You said it," Tatami responded. "Why are two being so overdramatic?" The black-haired man named Itajiro asked them with a bland attitude. "Hey. We may be pro-heroes, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to complain about exhaustion." I agree with Yo on this one," a blue man by the name of Shiki interjected. "Say, what do you guys say we go get some ramen afterwards?" "My treat. You know, I could go for some ramen too," a mysterious voice called out. This perked the attention of the four heroes, who saw what appeared to be Triage, otherwise known as Katsuma Shimano. But the form didn't appear human. In fact, aside from the face and hair, its form was lanky and twisted, all while his eyes appearing reptilian. The heroes began to get in a defensive stance. Hey friend. You alright there? You kind of look like a sight for sore eyes." "Well, now that you mention it, I have been incredibly hungry. In fact, I don't even think several bowls of ramen will do me the trick. In fact, I'd say I need at least 3 months worth of food before I can satiate my hunger." 3 months. Wow, you must have not eaten a lot in a while. Indeed. Thankfully, however, I have been blessed with 4 delicious snacks to eat. Its form began to melt slightly, revealing the true form behind the twisted facade. It was Cell. But how was this possible? How could he assume the form of Katsuma? It was all thanks to the DNA he was made up of. He was a Nomu, made up of some of Japan's most dangerous criminals, more specifically, the DNA of those who were members of the League of Villains, including Toga, whose power he used just now, albeit less graciously. Revealing his true form to the 4 heroes, he rushed at them, forcing them to fight for their lives, as one by one, they each fell to his strength. Over at Shoto's and Izumi's house, the pair lied in bed together, watching TV, all while she played with his hair. It was slightly embarrassing, but he did not feel the need to make her stop. In fact, he kind of enjoyed it. But as they were enjoying an episode of a government investigation show with a white-haired stoic protagonist, Shoto's phone began to buzz. He answered calmly. "Hello, Shoto speaking. Good morning, afternoon. This is Yakumaru." "Oh, hey Yakumaru, what's up? I can't speak much at the moment, but are you with your wife right now?" "Why yeah, Izumi's with me." "Good. I need you both to suit up, and meet us at the Safety Commission building. We've got trouble." "Well, I'm sure it can't be too bad if it's just the 2 of us coming." There was a slight silence, before Yakumaru continued to speak again. "I believe you're mistaken. It's not just you 2 that are coming. Right now we're asking all available heroes to arrive. This is a high priority level scenario." "High priority. Very well, we'll be there in a few minutes," he said, ending the call. "Did you say high priority?" "Yeah," he said with a sigh. "Guess we can't enjoy our day off like we wanted." "Oh, don't worry. We've dealt with this kind of stuff before. I'm sure we can fix it up in no time. Izumi, with all due respect, those were at least B-level villains we dealt with, and that was years back. Even still, whatever thing high priority threat is, I'm sure 20+ heroes can take them down. Remember, we had a hand at defeating All for One and the League of Villains. I'm sure we've got this." "Alright, then we better get going. I did tell him we'd be there in a few minutes. Leave it to me." After the pair got changed into their hero costumes, they exited their house, with Izumi grabbing hold of Shoto, before using float to get them in the air and blast through the sky. It took them roughly 5 minutes before reaching the house, with Shoto clinging to his stomach as they landed. "You know I'll never get used to that." Shoto groaned. "Yeah, I really gotta be careful with that." "Hey!" A cheerful voice called out. The 2 turned to see Mina and Aijiro approaching them. Shoto, happy to see his friend, immediately dapped him up, creating a heavenly echo around the area. "Good to see you guys." "Hey Mina. Looking good in your new costume," Izumi says, complimenting her. "Thanks. Though I do wish I could have added more cute design choices to it." "Oh, I'm sure it won't be that hard to redesign it. After all, you did just get it done today, right?" "Yeah, I did. But I don't want to trouble the costume maker if I keep wanting to add things to it." "True. But anyway, we should probably head inside. No doubt Yakumaru is waiting for us." As the 4 heroes entered the building, and made their way through the corridors, they eventually came into what appeared to be a large gathering room, similar to that of the room they were in during the provisional license exams. But unlike then, where they were trying to attain the right to act as true pro-heroes, they stood still, patiently waiting for Yakumaru to arrive, and tell them the information that he needed to convey. Izumi looked around, seeing various heroes present, including one she had been thankful attended. Katsuki Bakugo. While their history was troubled back during their time as students, they were able to overcome the hardships of rivalry and became something like siblings, standing the tests of time, and the strength of villains as allies than bitter companions. "Katsuki, good to see ya." She waved at him. Same goes to you, Izumi. He said, waving back. You have any idea what it is Yakumaru wants us for? Your guess is good as mine. But so far all of us are in the dark. I see. Well, it shouldn't be too bad. If we've got a lot of people here, whoever is causing trouble will be defeated in no time. You said it. Katsuki responded. After a long PRD of time, Yakumaru entered the room, catching some of the heroes off guard as they ceased their conversations with each other. Good afternoon everyone. I am thankful that each of you have taken the time to come here on short notice. Because right now, with how much of a problem this is going to be, we're going to need all the help we can get. Yakumaru began. This short introduction led some to begin to get uncomfortable by what they were expecting to be briefed on. But that all increased when 3 more heroes entered the room. Eri, Kota, and Mahoro, all of whom looked as if they aged another 5 years. Izumi noticed this. Eri. What happened to you? You look like you haven't gotten any sleep. Hey big sis. Sorry, things just haven't been easy lately. After the girl put her head down, Izumi glanced at the other two, seeing a similar expression on their faces. But unlike Kota, who normally had that expression, she noticed Mahoro looked traumatized. Yakumaru began speaking again, causing her to break out of her thoughts. At approximately 5 hours ago, Kota, Eri, and Tamashiro were deployed to Nabu Island after we received a distress call from triage. Apparently they were getting attacked by some unknown entity of bug-like complexion. The heroes raised a brow, particularly Tenya Ida. Excuse me, but did you say bug-like complexion? Indeed I did, Ingenium. After landing on the island, Eri and Kota began scouting the island, finding most of its inhabitants dead. Aside from that, they also discovered a lab on the secondary island. But it didn't take long before Eri had engaged with the one responsible. The being that has now been classified as Cell. He pressed a button on the remote, displaying a picture on the monitor of what appeared to be a disgusting creature of sorts. It definitely resembled that of a bug. But what caught their attention was at the top of its head. It was a brain. A brain encased in some sort of protective shell. It reminded them of the enemies they fought in the past. More specifically, the Nomu. Whoa, talk about a major disaster. Denki commented. Wonder what happened to this guy. Kaminari, do you not see that is a Nomu? You can clearly see that his brain is in similar fashion. Kyoka told him. Oh right. That almost slipped our mind. As I was saying, Yakumaru said in frustration. Cell is a rather special case. He self-proclaimed himself as a biomechanical Nomu, created by someone referred to as the disciple of Dr. Garaki. This made some of the heroes murmur to each other in curiosity. Momo, intrigued by this, began to question Yakumaru, disciple of Dr. Garaki. How is that possible? Most of the League were either captured or killed during the final battle. We're not entirely sure either. In fact, not even Cell knows where his creator is. But we do know one important detail that gives us an advantage. Cell can apparently absorb someone's powers if he consumes enough of a person's DNA. At least a whole body's worth if the information is correct. These 3 faced off against Cell while on Nabu Island. In fact, they're the only survivors. Hearing this, the alumni of UA grew more worried at the thought of fighting such a creature, all but Izumi, who in an effort to try and keep morale up, chose to stand firm against the despair. Where is this Cell guy anyway? She asked him. That's what we're trying to figure out. After he fought against Eri and Kota, he disappeared into the ocean, swimming straight toward the mainland. As far as we know, he could be anywhere, feeding on the innocent while we sit here dilly-dallying. That's why starting now, I want you all to go out on patrol, warning others to stay inside until we at least have an idea as to where this thing is. We screw this up, the whole world could be in danger. This last point caused Mineta, who since his time at UA had grown into a solid 6'1", to ask his question. Now that you say that, why did he come to Japan anyway? I mean, out of every country in the world to target, he chose the country with some of the world's most powerful heroes. Wouldn't it have been smarter for him to go to somewhere like Europe? Or in America? We don't know either. For all we know, it could just be that he is attacking whatever the closest country was at the time. But there's no point in questioning the motives of a creature like this. We either take it down, or die trying. So we need to get a move on. People. Understanding Yakumura's orders, they left in an orderly fashion, beginning to split off into separate directions, while someone began to approach him. Sir, we've searched through all the radio channels in hopes of getting in contact with Grand and his team. And where are they? I sent a signal to them and they never responded. Well, there is good news and bad news. The good news is we found the location of their communicator. The bad news, however, is that based on surveillance tapes near the area they appear to have been killed, sir. Killed? When? About a couple of hours ago. Yakumura freaked out slightly at this. Seriously? That creature's been in the country for a couple of hours, and we're too ill prepared to even face him. Sir. Another man called. We've received a call from Nizu at UA. Something's attacking the school. What? It's him, sir. It's Cell. He's killing the students. You've gotta be kidding me. We just finished the meeting and this happens. Put me through on all channels now. Yakumura began to send out an alert on all channels, causing every hero to hear his words. Everyone, we have a problem. We received an SOS alert from Principal Niza that something is attacking UA High School. Some of the heroes, particularly the parents, began to go wide-eyed in horror, including Izumi. What? But how? The school has state-of-the-art security. We don't know the details just yet, but based on Nizu's description of the perpetrator, it's definitely him. It's definitely Cell. Izumi, with an angered expression on her face, began to head in the direction of the school, with Shoto catching her hand. Izumi, you can't just go in there recklessly. We don't know what this thing is truly capable of. Shoto, I understand. But every second I waste, is another second that might know that our daughter is in danger. I can't risk her life just because I'm not willing to fight. Shoto understood her argument. How could a mother let her child remain in danger and not try everything to save them? But he remained firm in his decision. Gather as many people as you can. I'll see what I can do about this monster. She said as she leaped in the air. Izumi, wait. But just as quickly as she leaped away, she used FA Gene to propel herself towards the school. The air was thick as it passed over her face. But she did not care for such a thing. The worry on her mind, and the determination on her face only demonstrated a longing to push through the force of the wind and get to her destination. In a short PRD of time, she was able to get to the school, seeing the destruction for herself, as she caught sight of broken glass, destroyed walls, and many craters in the ground. No. Mirai, please be okay. As she entered the building, Izumi walked through the hallways of her former school, seeing the many piles of clothing that littered the floor. Pants and skits buried underneath white shirts, each of them having a stab mark in the back or front. She could only imagine that her daughter was an unfortunate victim of this attack. But as she continued to walk through the halls, the sounds of footsteps echoed in front of her. Readying herself in a battle stance, she prepared her next attack, hoping to catch the assailant off guard, before overwhelming them with a flurry of attacks. But as she was about to attack, she noticed something. A head of blonde hair leaving one of the classrooms. It was a boy. A boy whose eye shape looked way too familiar. In fact, they were similar to her own. But how was this possible? It didn't take long before she also spotted the large bug-like creature come out of the room with him, only, it didn't attack the boy. No, it looked like they were working together. After a few seconds, the boy spotted her, getting the bug man's attention while making a smirk of his own. Well, look what we have here, Dad. Looks like we have another item on the menu for you. Chapter end. Chapter 5, Metal Maverick. Moments prior to Izumi's intervention, we see Izaya approach the gate of UA with Cell, who used Toga's quirk to transform his appearance to that of Yoshindo. Sad to say, the appearance, despite being better than his last transformation, still had some issues. But that did not matter, as Izaya did not take much time to hack the school's security system, and allow the gate to open without issue. Your skills have improved, my son. Cell said with praise. Thank you, Dad, but you haven't seen anything yet. UA has had many security upgrades ever since that whole Tamura business many years back. Thankfully, I know how to crack it. Using a program on his tablet, he sifted through the school's systems, quickly disabling any and all measures installed to protect the students. While doing this, he made some strange movements, almost as if he was enacting some kind of dance, one that resembled what he saw online performed by a villain during the time of Tamura's influence. Done, and done. Izaya said with satisfaction. The entire school no longer has any security systems active. Your main course awaits. Cell began to salivate at this. Yes, finally. Another large meal for me to enjoy. Oh. Before you go in, I want you to avoid a specific person. If you see a girl by the name of Mirai Todoroki, then don't eat them. She has red hair and green eyes, easy for you to identify. There is another person, but I forget what his name is. Anyway, just avoid eating her, and you can eat everyone else. Cell groaned at this, but agreed to his son's request. If it means getting my meal now, I can hold off from eating one simple appetizer. Great. Then may your ever-growing hunger be satisfied. Cell began to stretch out his limbs, quickly reverting back to his true form, before getting in a running position. After about 5 to 7 seconds, Cell sprinted into the building, breaking through the glass before leaping on top of the first of his many victims. It's feeding time. Cell said, and he began to eat the poor student, using his tail like appendage to drain the life from his body. Students nearby began to scream out loudly, creating panic at the school, before they too fell to Cell's strength and hunger. Many of the teachers who tried to fight him met the same fate, leaving only Nizu, Aizawa, and a handful of others to remain, running through the halls as they check every classroom for any sign of students alive. What on earth is that thing? Present Mike began to say, panicking. I have no clue. Aizawa said to him. But whatever he is, he's slaughtering all of the students. If we are to assume this is a villain attack, then we need to find as many students as possible and get them to safety. I have already contacted the Hero Public Safety, they should be arriving in a while. That won't be quick enough. Hizashi, if we want to protect the students, we're going to have to fight this monster and stall them. Yeah, sounds good. When I see that bug monster, I'm gonna go all out. Is that right? Well, tell me, how do you suppose you're going to do that? A voice says from above. The three look up, where they see Cell, hanging from the ceiling while holding an unnamed student by the neck, completely draining them of their nutrients. Well now, ain't this quite the show? Teachers cowering in front of me, unable to protect the lives of the very students they vowed to keep safe. Why you? Before Present Mike could use his quirk to attack, he is suddenly hit with a wave of flames, burning his face, while Cell quickly leaped off the ceiling, attacking Aizawa and Nizu, and quickly dealing with them, before ending the blonde with a stab to the gut. He let out a pained cry, causing the area to start cracking all around him. Cell, who did not expect this, grabbed onto his ears, screaming in pain at the sudden loud sound. Aw! My rectangle ears. But as Present Mix's life began to fade, so too did the sounds from his scream. Eventually, his eyes went white, no longer possessing any sign of life. Talk about a loud mouth. Honestly, how does a guy like that end up working with kids? Could make them go deaf if he wasn't careful. Well, that doesn't matter anymore, Dad. The guy's dead. Not like he's gonna cause any trouble for us. But he will be a great asset to us. Ah, so you're going to use that little invention of yours? Well, considering it's in its early stages, I'm not expecting this to bode too well. But anyway, let's see how these three do as test subjects for Project Big Geek Star. Isaiah said to his father. Placing the computer chip on the back of his head, he felt a slight shock, before placing his hand on Hisashi's face. From being able to control machines and technology, to being able to create it from any living organism. That is the true pinnacle of my power. And soon, you will be assimilated into my legion. A weird substance began to spread across Hisashi's face, almost consuming his entire body, while he also put the same substance on Mizu's body. When he tried to get to Aizawa's body, he found his body missing, as if it wasn't there to begin with. He looked around. How on earth? Never mind him, my son. It would seem that the Erasure hero has decided to flee. No matter, he won't survive his injuries. Now then, let us find some more delicious meals to eat. Alright. I get it, you're hungry. No need to make it a personality trait. Isaiah stepped out of the room momentarily, where he spotted Izumi Todoroki. A smirk soon grew on the boy's face, while his father, Cell, began to walk out. Well, look what we have here, Dad. Looks like we have another item on the menu for you. And a pro hero too. Guess we don't have to worry about getting you a nice meal after all, huh? But his father neither responded, nor made a sound. Instead, what had happened was something Isaiah did not expect. A look of longing on his face. Not one of hunger. But one of some deep-seated longing for vengeance on his face. He began to let out a sound, escalating in volume as Isaiah looked at him with concern. You okay, Dad, because you're starting to dash, he said, lifting up his arms. Okay, please answer, Dad. Because it almost sounds like your dash. Bright blue flames shot out towards Izumi, as she had to quickly run out of the hall, narrowly avoiding the flames that caught up to her. She arrived outside onto the PE grounds, while Cell did the same, leaping out the window, and landing on the ground. The creature began to chuckle. Sorry about that. Normally when I see someone I want to eat, I'm more composed and calculating. But for some reason when I laid my eyes on you all I wanted was to make you disappear. So you must be that Cell creature Yakumaru told us about. My reputation precedes me. It's nice to know that I am already famous on the mainland. Truth be told, I was hoping to eat for a few days, gain several new abilities before encountering more heroes. Then again, things don't always go your way. Izumi kept her eyes on the creature, making sure he made no sudden moves, all while bending her finger constantly, building up kinetic energy. Answer me this, Cell. Did you eat a girl by the name of Mirai Todoroki? Mirai. Why? Are you concerned? Just answer me. Did you eat my daughter or not? Oh, that explains it. She's your daughter. Well, truth be told, you are rather fortunate. My son for whatever reason has restricted me from consuming her. I don't know the reason, but you should thank my son for her still being alive. If I wasn't restricted by his request, I would have ended her life in an instant. He finished with a menacing tone. Other than that, I haven't even seen her. But maybe I can go looking for her if you'd like. Take an arm or two. Perhaps all of her limbs. Furious at his words, Izumi lifted up her arm, flicking a large ball of compressed air at him, all while green electricity surrounded her. Air Force. The compressed ball of air launched towards Cell, creating a large powerful gust of wind, mixed with the dirt from the PE grounds. She had hoped to inflict some damage to the bug monster. But as the dust settled, she noticed another person standing in front of the Nomu. Or rather 6 people. All resembling the boys she encountered moments ago. Their bodies were made up of some kind of metal, their shiny silver skin shining in the sunlight. Their eyes, while mechanical, had a crimson glow to them, almost similar to Katsuki's eyes. Only they were cold, having no emotion or sign of life in them. What on earth? You like my creations? Izaya said from above. Say hello to my metal Nomus. Metal Nomus. That's right, number one hero. These bad boys are the result of Quirk's evolution. Their old flesh has since been converted into a far more suitable matter. And the best part? They are fully obedient under my command. It's still a prototype, so there's more that can be improved on. But considering these 6 are the only ones I can create right now, I'll give them a name fitting this very situation. Meet my sinister 6 Nomus. Kid. Whatever this guy is getting you to help him in, you don't have to follow his twisted vision. Izumi shouted. But the boy refused to even entertain the idea. How foolish. Thinking you can get me to betray my father with such words. This detail caught Izumi off guard for a moment. Wait, father. But, you look human. Yes. But that does not matter. My father is on a pathway to evolution far greater than mine. So I do not care if you mock his appearance, because I know he has greater potential than all of you pathetic heroes. Now, allow me to handle this trash, father. Go my metal Nomus. The 6 metal Nomus ran towards Izumi, beginning to attack her all at once with little room for the hero to defend herself. Cell was impressed by this display of power, finding it amusing that his son's creations were preparing his next meal for him. You did well in their creation, my son. It's not a big deal. That's to the chip I created, their strength exceeds that of even All Might in his prime. 6 should be more than enough to defeat her. Each of the metal Nomus landed devastating blows to the heroine's body, resulting in several bruises forming within a few minutes of fighting. One of them began to hold her in a full Nelson, waiting for the other 5 to beat her senseless, until she collapsed. However, as the onslaught was about to begin, one of the metal Nomus was attacked by a sudden beam of explosive power, completely destroying it without effort. The source of the attack. Katsuki Bakugo. Thanks to the power his quirk had, he was able to arrive soon after, landing beside Izumi, before exploding the face of the second metal Nomu. Sorry I'm late. Are you okay? Got a couple of hits to the stomach, but I'm fine. Cell's gaze fixed on Katsuki, as he quickly stepped forward. Ah, if it isn't dynamite. Not sure whether I should be annoyed or excited. After all, it's not every day that someone gets to fight someone who calls himself a god. Katsuki got annoyed at this, finally thinking to himself about the absurdity of his hero name. Great, he's clowning on my name. As if I'd need that from a bug man like him. Katsuki thought to himself. So, Mr. Bomb. Tell me, what exactly do you think you can do in this situation? What can you bring to the table? Katsuki readied himself in a battle stance. Izumi did the same. I don't know. But I heard that you were causing trouble, so I figured I could be the one to put you down for good. Pride in your abilities I see. Well, between you and me, I suggest you put that pride aside and just accept your fate. After all, pride is the greatest sin of them all. As if I would accept your advice, bug boy. Petty insults will only get you so far. Not like you could defeat me anyway. Is that a fact? Or are you just trying not to panic? Believe me, I know far more about you than you could possibly image. In fact, I get the same urge to tear you limb from limb just like I had with your friend there. Something about you too, it reminds me of the time I was less. So this guy apparently has history with us. That or he could be projecting whatever twisted backstory he had onto us. Izumi chimed in. Never mind that, are the kids safe? I'm not sure. But based on what I've been told, this guy hasn't encountered Mirai. Could be possible that more of the students are still alive. Do you know when the others are coming? At least a 5-minute ETA. We just have to hold out until they arrive. Then we can end this once and for all. As the two continued their quiet discussion, Cell began to speak. I'm being polite here. I'm being very polite to let you have this conversation right now. The two finish up their conversation, with Izumi nodding her head in agreement to the plan. Okay, sounds good. Let's end this monster. You guys done? Good, because while I have your attention, I need to ask you a question. Does the name Izuku ring any bells? Izumi got caught off guard by the mention of this name. Katsuki meanwhile, remained calm and composed, trying to control his emotions. No. Sorry, it's just, for whatever reason, that name keeps coming up whenever I look at you both. Perhaps someone you knew. How do you know that name? Izumi muttered. Tell me right now. How do you know that name? Cell maintained his airy presence, ignoring the hero's question, while looking at them with his slitted eyes. A big smile growing from his face. How do I know? Quite frankly, I don't feel like giving out those details. For now, you should be concerned about one thing. Whether or not you survive this fight. And based on the odds, this fight will be your last. As the two heroes readied themselves to face off against Cell and the 4 remaining metal Nomus, one thing crossed their mind. How does this creature know Izuku? If they wanted to find the answer to that question, they had to fight like their lives depended on it. Chapter end.